It's time to rock and roll!
This is Monday morning. It's April 4th, 3rd? It's April 3rd.
Third.
Thank you, Gene. It's April 3rd. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Waffle Press Movie Hangouts. I'm your host, David Crespo. With me today is my co-host, Gina Versa.
Hey, how's it going?
We have planes flying overhead, I think, but that's
yeah.
okay. It
I'm
happens.
living by the Burbank airport.
Maybe
Yeah.
if Gene had shut his goddamn window, then this wouldn't be happening.
I did.
No, it just
Shut it
it just
again.
happens.
Shut it harder.
Dude, you gotta get the soundproof panels, you know?
Mhm.
I'm gonna show up at your front door, be like, I got you this on Amazon.
No, thanks.
Soundproofing panels should sponsor our episodes, but you know who should never have to sponsor our episodes because they're too busy being a fantastic writer, creative person, man, is our guest today, Michael Hubble. I'm sorry, I never learned how to pronounce your last name.
It's Hubel, but
Hubel.
that's okay.
Okay,
All right.
Hubble. Well, now I'll never forget it because that was incredibly embarrassing. How are you? Tell us about yourself. What's going on in the world of Michael Hubble?
Not much is going on really. I'm working on a couple scripts, a couple projects, and then working for money doing not very creative stuff at all. But such is life as the struggling LA creative.
Yeah, feel that.
Yeah. I just want to
The three
say
of us are like, damn. It's
Yeah.
true.
no, because I think it's important too, because I mean, obviously we're not very high profile. We're not, or arguably not profile at all. Which is like, I think just a normal way for an artist to live, you know? I think we're kind of de-romanticizing it, but I know I don't mean to say that to be nihilistic or anything like that or cynical, just like, you know, it's like a normal thing. It's like it's a job like any other job. Like we all have our passions and like our beliefs about it, but like, you know, that's separate from like the reality of the world, and that's like okay. We still, I know you're a very passionate guy. We've had very passionate conversations about a lot of different movie related stuff, and I think we're gonna get very passionate today talking about both John Wick 4 and the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Oh, hell yeah.
How did we meet? Do you remember
Twitter.
Twitter? Okay,
believe.
Technically, yeah.
yeah. I think half our guests are from Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Twitter's is currently dying, but used to be a fun, wonderful haven of bullshit. And it's still
Really
a haven
good.
of bullshit, but the bullshit that it's a haven of is becoming more and more crypto scams and
Yeah.
shit like that, and less fun,
Mhm.
weird film shit.
Yeah.
But we still have our
Sadly.
people. It's still fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're our people. We are our people. We are
Mhm.
each other's people. There you go. That sounds better. Yeah,
Yeah.
we are each other's people. We all get along. We all shoot the shit. I want to just start diving in because you're a big. Is it safe to say you're a big fantasy like guy, right? Like fantasy genre
Oh.
guy,
100%. Yeah.
which is why we totally wanted you on the Dungeons and Dragons episode because you also play Dungeons and Dragons.
Mhm.
I do not. Gene does.
Yeah. No, I'm like casual fan.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I definitely, yeah. I started playing, I don't know, a couple years ago because it was just always something that seemed like a fun thing to do. And one of my friends was like, "Would you like to join my campaign?" I was like, there's nothing more I would rather do right now.
Yeah.
So a couple years later, now I'm an avid D&D fan, and also got into D&D before Stranger Things made it blow up. So now
Oh.
I've got that nice sense of superiority. Like, ooh, I was into D&D before it got cool again from being a niche, like, nerdy thing. I guess it's still a niche nerdy thing, but
Yeah.
such is life.
That's true. That's true. But
Yeah,
it's, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is like niche and nerdy, but I feel like we're kind of in this weird spot on the internet where a bunch of different things are kind of becoming like there's no homogenized like one ultimate popular thing, you know, like even like the Marvel stuff, like whatever feelings people have about them, we don't have to get into it, but like
Yeah.
they
Please don't.
they're getting more niche, you
Mhm.
know. It's like not everyone saw and liked the last one that came out or the one before that. Like now it's becoming a thing. And I think that maybe the most popular thing right now is like Avatar and John Wick 4.
Yeah,
Just because like
feels
those are the
good.
ones that keep the cultural conversation going more than a week. And we'll talk about one of those at least today. But like how do I get involved with the D&D? Because I've always been interested. I love fantasy stuff. Obviously a lot of creatives are really into it because they say it's like, it's you're kind of you're making a big series of stories. You're telling one long story, but it's just kind of like it's looser and you're in some ways making it up as you go along, which sometimes people don't want to hear this, but a lot of other writers make it up as they go along too, and that's okay because you never know what's going to happen, and maybe
Hmm.
you know art doesn't come together perfectly, and that's okay. But
Yeah, yeah,
that's what I get from it, from like afar, watching D&D from afar.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all of that, and also it's just like, I mean, yeah, I think it is like a fun creative tool and a fun creative outlet, but it's also just like a great way to hang out with your friends. And like one of the ways it really started for us was when I moved to the West Coast. I had a lot of friends still on the East Coast, so one of the ways that we like kept together as a friend group was hopping on Discord and playing like virtual D&D through like Roll20 or one of those websites like that. So if you're like, I, it's kind of one of those things where it's like if you have a group of people or if you have friends who already play it, like I don't know, maybe Gene and Michael who are on this podcast, then
Hmm.
you start like subtly dropping hints here and there. You're like, oh, I'd love to be a guest character on the campaign, or such
Yeah.
and such, and then you insidiously insert yourself and become a mainstay in the campaign.
Uh,
I totally did this to one of my friends in New York. He was like, I'd like help testing this homebrewed system for battle. Could you come in for a couple sessions? I was like, sure, just a couple sessions. And then, you know, a month later, I was a series regular. So
oh.
you just
Interesting.
you got a sneak attack.
Yeah, it's like TV, being on TV as a guest star.
Hmm.
You're like,
Yeah, you want that recurring role.
yeah,
Except in this one, you don't get paid at all, so it's even better.
Oh yeah, yeah.
get paid in fun,
I was
right?
gonna say it could be
Fun
like
and
I
friendship.
Friendship,
yeah,
yeah.
I could be like the Urkel to someone's D&D campaign. I just hijack the show and make it, you know,
The Urkel show,
yeah, make it the
not
Urkel
Family
show.
Matters.
Yeah. Who doesn't like Family Matters and who doesn't love Family Matters when Urkel comes on board?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Um, I don't know. What do you guys usually play as? I know there's different classes and stuff. I know Paladin, and I only know
Yeah.
that because I was an avid Warcraft player for a long
Hmm.
time, and I know that's like a carryover from there. So like, oh, Michael, as the guest, like, what do you play as right now if you're in a campaign?
I'm currently playing as, oh shit, we just started a new one. I'm playing a ranger in that one.
Oh, nice.
Um, and then in my other campaign, I am a druid. So I guess the common theme here being woodsy, naturey type folk, far from civilization. I don't know. I just always gravitate towards that shit. I have played a
Yeah.
paladin. That one of my favorite characters I've ever played was a paladin, but like not the righteous like do-gooding sort of paladin. He was like the anti-paladin. So he was more of a stern, badass, rule breaking bad boy, which I mean just is me to a T. So that's why it
Nice.
was such a fun character to play. Gene, what about you?
I usually just go as a paladin. Yeah.
Oh, a lot of
Yeah.
paladin talk here. Everybody
Yeah,
loves a
that
Yeah.
was
good
not
paladin.
intentional.
Yeah. I don't know.
This episode's sponsored by the paladin class.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I just think they're neat. I don't know. It just kind of appeals to me. I think like if I was trying to play as like a more like a any other character, like use more magic, I think I would get like confused, I guess.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of there's a lot of rules when you get deep into the
The lore.
source books. Yeah, there's like
Yeah.
all these different, this costs an action and this is a bonus action and this is a reaction, but it's a free reaction if you're, such and such other characters cast this on you and you're like, oh shit, how many dice am I rolling right now? Gets pretty twisted.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's a little less complicated just as a paladin. I feel like because I have like some of the books and like I've casually read it, but I'm like, man, like I think I would just be just like terrible as these characters. I just like get confused or like mess up the game or like I don't know. Just I haven't read like read all the books, So it's just kind of like, yeah, that's just on me, I guess.
So
Well,
if we,
I mean, oh, go ahead.
no, you go ahead because I got a bigger question that's gonna segue us later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the fun part of D&D in the internet age is anytime you don't know something, you can just quickly like do a little Google chat and it's like, oh, this is how grappling works. And
Hmm.
like I DM and I haven't read all the source books cover to cover. I just like, you kind of make it up as you go along. And also the rules don't have to be followed exactly because the most important thing is having fun and doing cool shit. So it's like, yeah, you got to have some structure to it and have like some overarching shit, but it's like,
Yeah, fuck the
everything
rules.
is made to be, a little loosey goosey.
Yeah, rules are meant to be broken.
Yeah, that's why Michael
Exactly.
was the anti-paladin paladin.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Because rules are
Yeah. It's
meant to be
like, oh,
broken.
do I have to be a do-gooder? No, 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 no. I will have broken my oath and now I'm on a quest for maybe redemption, maybe just to get more evil. It's tough to say. I don't
Yeah.
want to spoil how it turned out.
Okay, exciting. Is this one of those ones that was like live streamed online campaigns, or is it just like you and
No, I've
buddies?
never done one of those actually. I always thought
Okay.
Okay.
that would be kind of fun, but then it's also like then everybody's doing a thing, because they're just like, "Ah, I can't like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing for me. Like it sounds super fun, but it's like, doing a podcast is fun. And I don't think we're like the best at it. I do think
Yeah.
we're good at it. Like
Sure.
I don't think we lack quality, but like,
Yeah.
everyone thinks like, oh, I'll just do a podcast. It's about what? I just want to do it. And it's like, well,
Don't.
it doesn't mean it's gonna be worth listening to. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
like fine. Okay, you figure that out. Maybe you could find an angle or whatever, or you just have a distinctive voice. But you can't just like getting into it because it sounds exciting, as like
Yeah.
exciting as that sounds even. But I
And
don't
there's so
know.
many of those actual play podcasts out there. I'm like, let's not enter the fray here. There's
Yeah.
a lot of people doing it way better, and I'm fine just doing it with my friends.
Hmm.
Yeah, another formerly niche thing is like Star Wars. That'd be like starting another Star Wars YouTube channel. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're not gonna you're not making it into that. Like you're not gonna break through that, unfortunately. And it's not your
Yeah.
fault. It's just
Hmm.
that's the table's been set and the dining area is full.
Hmm.
Um, but speaking of dining areas, I don't know. I was trying to segue for Dungeons and Dragons. How would I like get started right now? Would I just be like, hey, let's play a game right now? Let's drop the rest of the podcast. Gene, Michael, Diego, what do I gotta do?
Yeah. Tell us.
Well, this gets back to like, yeah, finding some friends who play it, but there is normally like prep that's involved,
Hmm.
specifically on the part of the dungeon master, because they have to like set up a campaign, pick what the world's gonna be, like whether it's gonna be like a pre-written D&D adventure, which are in the books and stuff, and that like really guides you. But even then, you can never account for what the players are gonna do. So even if in the book it's like, oh, if the party does this, take this route, kind of like a choose your own adventure book, and you can like follow to like which branching path you could take. You can't account for what all your dumbass friends are going to do. If you like
Yeah.
spoon feed them a quest and you're like, here's what we need to do, here's where all the treasure is, and they're like, but there's a boat right there, and if we steal it, kill the guards and take it down the river, what's down there? So you just have to be like, okay, yeah, roll to steal the boat and kill the guards and make it up on the fly as you go. So there's prep that needs to be done by the dungeon master. There's prep that needs to be done by the player characters, especially at the start of a campaign. You got to like figure out what class of character you are, what your alignment is, your backstory, all that kind of shit. And honestly, setting up the character sheet takes like a good like hour or 2 hours, if especially if you're not familiar with it. So there's a lot of prep that goes into the start of the campaign, and then to keep a campaign running also involves a lot of prep and investment. Prep from the DM to make a session on a you know, regular schedule to like keep the story moving along, and then investment from the characters, like all the players, to like set time in their schedule too. And if everybody kind of like makes it somewhat of a priority, I mean, we all have real lives that are far more important than,
Yeah.
hopping into a game.
No, they're
But
not. No, they're not. Not mine.
yeah, okay, never mind. You're perfect for D&D.
Yeah.
Hop in. Um, but if everybody like makes it at least somewhat of a priority and can work together to create a schedule and stuff, then the regularity and the, everybody kind of like having the agreement of disbelief to like let everybody, feel comfortable doing role play or doing an accent and doing all this stuff, then
Awesome.
everybody
Thanks, guys.
enters that kind of sphere and puts that investment in, and that's what makes a good campaign, I think. Or that's what can keep it afloat. A lot of them fizzle out after like 1 or 2 sessions. The number of campaigns I've been in where they were like, "Oh, we're gonna start a new group," and like
Ooh.
2 sessions later, "Oh, I'm away this weekend. Oh, my brother's got a wedding. Oh," and then like it just completely fizzles out. So the trick is to find people who are like actually gonna stick with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
their fifth grandma dies or whatever.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
I thought you only had 6.
Yeah. I don't know. It's super exciting. Like, I'm not gonna lie, for me, it is partly intimidating, and maybe it's another part of me is like has trust issues because of stuff like that, where I'm like, is everyone gonna like commit to this? I
Mhm.
don't know. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I've definitely had a lot of like admiration and respect for D&D, and like especially people that have continued playing it for such a long period of time. Another friend of the show, Noah Garcia, Gene and I know,
Mm.
who will be coming on the podcast late May or early June. We're going to do a wrap up on the CW Arrowverse shows because it's the end of an era. We're going to talk about that. But he's an avid DVD player too, D&D player.
Yeah.
I'm all over the
Not
place today.
DVD.
I don't know
Yeah.
what the hell.
That's all good. It's all
He's
good.
an avid D&D player, and yeah, he's spoken very highly of it. He's told me all about like campaigns he's done and like DM'd, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds fantastic. They sound like stories I'd want to like read or watch on TV.
Mhm.
Um, so
I'm pretty sure that
it's super
some
cool.
fantasy like has been instigated by just like groups of friends playing D&D, and then somebody like I think that I'm speaking out my ass here, but I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure that like one of the big popular, I think it was called Dragonlance, like a big fantasy series from like the 90s, early 2000s, was started from like a D&D campaign, and then somebody was like, "I'm just gonna write this down," and made like a best-selling fantasy series. So
Wow.
I mean,
That's
I think that shit happens.
yeah, no, that's cool. That's like was it 50 Shades of Grey started out as a Twilight fan fiction?
It
Right?
actually started out as a D&D game. Roll for seduction.
Yeah.
Yeah, that oh wow, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
It
Sorry.
just no. I welcome it. But speaking of D&D, let's just talk about the movie. As D&D players, how did you two feel about this movie? We don't have to get into any like direct spoilers immediately. Just give a normal response, like coming out of the theater, how did you feel?
Well, I saw like an early screening of it about like 2 weeks ago, and it was yeah, no, it was like I was really happy with it. It was a lot of enthusiastic fans. It was at the AMC Burbank, and yeah, they were doing like a early screening. I got interviewed for some reason, which was cool. I don't know, maybe you'll see it on a commercial, but yeah, no, it was like the excitement being around the fans. Certain Easter eggs were making the crowd excited, but yeah, I was really happy with it. I thought it was really cool. It felt like a cool like one shot. So yeah, it was like yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I did too. I thought it was like a lot of fun. It's like one of the most fun movie going experiences I've had in a while. In part, yeah, the crowd was infectious. There were people dressed up with
Yeah.
like loots and armor and shit. I was like, all right, we're going hard for this. But it also, I thought something that it did well and captured well was just kind of like the ridiculous fun bullshit of it. Because if they tried to make a D&D movie in the style of like Game of Thrones or Rings of Power, one of these other like kind of grim dark fantasy series, it would really be missing what makes D&D so much fun, which is all your friends being dumbasses together around a table. And like this movie got the friends being dumbasses together around the table and still had like the poignant moments and the moments of really cool epic stuff you can only really do in a fantasy world, but it didn't forget about the core of what makes D&D fun, which is like just being able to do silly shit. And I think that's what makes the movie really shine and stand
Mhm.
out from other fantasy offerings that have been out in recent years.
Yeah, no, that was cool. Like all the humor and like just the fact it didn't take itself so seriously. Because I think like that was a problem with the other movies too, right? Like that 2000s one. I don't think I've ever like sat through that all the way through, but I just remember it's like
I
so.
haven't.
Oh yeah, it's like so like dark and foreboding, and I don't know. Yeah, D&D is supposed to be fun, right?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that movie feels like it had a lot of issues, not
Yeah,
just related to D&D.
it had
I
had
don't.
Jeremy Irons in it.
Yeah, it did. It's like, it's an interesting artifact. I can't really recommend it, but it's
Hmm.
like, man, they used to just make like bad movies used to look like this. Now bad movies look like some other
This,
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, not this movie. I did like this movie, but I'll
yeah.
I'll hold on to that. I'll let you
Okay,
guys
of
go for a while.
course.
Um, before we get more into D&D stuff, are you both familiar with John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein's other works? I know they're really popular from Game Night,
Game night.
especially. You guys
Yeah,
saw Game
Oh
Night?
yeah, yeah. I saw Game Night.
yeah. They wrote Spider-Man, the
They wrote
first one,
Homecoming. They
the
wrote
best one,
the
the
first couple
best
drafts
one.
of Homecoming. Yes, that is the best Marvel Cinematic Universe Spider-Man.
Yep.
We're not taking questions at this time because there doesn't need to be. I
Uh-huh.
would have liked to have seen what they'd done with other sequels to that, but whatever.
We'll never know.
It's fine. Yeah, I when I heard that they were doing Dungeons and Dragons, I was interested. And then I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't super interested as those first trailers came out. Um,
Okay.
and then word of mouth got very good after South by Southwest, and it was
Mm-hmm.
like, of course, I shouldn't have doubted these guys did game night.
You have little faith. Yeah, I remember I was at oh yeah, I was out South by Southwest when like they were screening it. So yeah, I heard a lot of good stuff coming out. And yeah, I don't know if like the trailer I don't know if like I don't remember any of the trailers in particular. I remember they used the Led Zeppelin song "Whole Lot of Love," which was I don't know how you feel about that, Michael, but it's like I don't know if it's like a trope, but it is cool that they use like Zeppelin in every like fantasy trailer now, right? What it,
I hadn't put that together as a common theme, but who doesn't like Zeppelin?
yeah, because it's in like the King Arthur movie. They
King
use
Arthur: Legend of the Sword.
Legend of the Sword,
Hmm.
yeah.
Oh, Diego and I's favorite movie of all
Hmm.
time.
Guy
Yes.
Ritchie's
How did
best
I
movie,
not know
yeah.
that Zeppelin was in that? Too
Yeah.
long. I'm due for a rewatch.
No,
Yeah.
it's to be fair, it's in the trailers. It's in the
It's in the
trailers.
trailer, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And but
But I guess
yes.
Thor.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, Thor used it
Th-
too. Are
yeah,
mhm.
we
so
counting Thor as fantasy? I suppose, but
more or less, yeah.
Thor Ragnarok, I would
Hmm.
I would consider science like
Yeah,
fiction
sure.
fantasy like it's more I don't know, it's more Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like it's not there's like the first two Thors I would consider fantasy. Like take them or leave those movies. Like I think those are trying to be fantasy. Now the Thor is like Thor Guardians of the Galaxy with some other Star Wars inspired Flash
Yeah.
Gordon. It's Flash Gordon. I wouldn't
Yeah. It's
consider
very
Flash
like
Gordon like fantasy. You know what I mean?
yeah,
yeah, true.
Yeah.
very Flash Gordon-y. But yeah, and it's cool when they use Zeppelin, so there you go.
Yeah, I mean that's probably why they use it. They're like, we don't know how to sell this movie. And like that was my big concern because it felt like a studio that didn't know how to sell the movie. And then you watch
Hmm.
the movie and you're just like D&D stuff aside, it's just like, no, this is just like a pretty fun like adventure movie. This shouldn't have been that hard to like figure out. Like
Yeah.
we've had fun adventure movies.
Hmm.
I yeah, I really liked it. And I love seeing Chris Pine pop up and stuff
He's
again.
good.
You
Yeah, the
feel
best
it felt
Chris. The
yeah,
best
he is the best
Chris.
Chris. I felt like he was kind of going away for a second, not like
Right.
out of any
Yeah.
nefarious reasoning, just stuff like
No,
that.
no.
But
Like also too, like I don't know, like maybe like the projects he's on are like cursed. Because have you heard him like talk about like Star Trek 4? He's just like they keep asking when is it gonna happen? He's like I have no idea. It's like
yeah.
I don't know. Like they keep changing people and stories, and it's like he's just like it'll come out whenever. Maybe it's cursed.
Wait, did they already make it? It's just sitting
No,
in post. Oh, okay.
no,
No,
they
it's
haven't even finished the script.
they haven't finished the
Oh, okay.
script or like
Yeah,
committed to a creative team or decision. So yeah, well maybe it'll never see the light of day.
yeah.
But
You
Chris
know,
Pine's good.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's
I
good.
thought he was an awesome like lead for this movie. I thought he really carried it.
Hmm.
I also thought he was in a bit of a drought because I saw. Did you guys see Outlaw King, the
I did.
Netflix like
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
historical?
yeah,
I was like really excited to see that and like watched it, and then I was like, hmm,
yeah,
didn't really do much for me as far as like swords and sandals kind of shit, which I'm all
yeah,
about. But this one was really good.
yeah. Yeah, no, it was good. Yeah, I loved all the characters, the cast, and everything. Like, like all the little like, I guess like Easter eggs too. I'm not sure if anyone caught it. Where a friend of our shows, Rob Godinez, who loved the Saturday morning Dungeons and Dragons show, and he's like told me about it, and I've like watched a few episodes. But when they're in like the maze and everything at the very end, they have like cameos from the characters from the cartoon show. So they're just as like the Viking, the wizard, and I'm like, oh, that's cool.
I did
Yeah,
actually hear about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I saw
never.
like a little like clickbait kind of article about it, but I never watched that. So I was like, ah, nice, fun little shout out. But it didn't like.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
I
mean,
hope they didn't die because like you never see them after they go like in the cage. They killed
I
the
got
beloved
some.
cast of
I've got a
Saturday morning
suspicion that
cartoons.
they did in fact not survive, just based on everything else we saw.
Oh,
But you know,
oh,
yeah. I guess we'll just do open spoiler discussion too
yeah,
for this one. So we'd all recommend it. I think that's fair to say, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I do think it's a really good time. Another friend of the show, PJ Campbell, and I were having a conversation about it, and he really, really liked it too. He went as far to say that he felt it was like one of the more accessible, like standalone, like blockbusters he's seen
hmm,
in a long time. Because we don't really get those a lot. Like obviously they want this to be a franchise. There's
right,
enough for it to be like to have a sequel. I would see a sequel. I would see two more sequels, do the trilogy, you know.
hmm,
Um, but I hadn't really thought about that, and I was like, we just don't really get a lot of those types of movies anymore.
yeah,
So I would say it's like yeah, it is one of the better standalone blockbusters out there right now. Where like if this was it, and I don't want it to be, like I'd be fine. I can go back and revisit this. Um, I have some minor qualms, nothing like game breaking or anything like
right,
that. Um, I thought this was a less expensive movie than it was. I felt it felt like a little smaller budget movie than it was.
hmm,
And I don't know if that's the directors getting a much larger budget than they've ever had, or if it's the studio penny pinching. Because
yeah,
sometimes it can be that, sometimes it's not the people behind the camera, it's the people in the suits.
yeah,
Um, the finale felt a little small after the
mm,
maze thing. I was like, oh, this movie's gonna go like huge at the end.
yeah,
We're gonna have these zombie army and stuff like that. And it's kind of like a brawl in like a market space. And it's like
yeah,
good. Like the action's good. Everything about that is
right,
is perfectly solid,
hmm,
fun entertainment. And the action's very well directed in this, in the
yeah.
back half especially. But I was like, oh, all right, we're just this is it. Okay. Like I was fine with
Yeah,
that, but I was like, you know,
it felt like it could have went bigger in certain areas for sure. Yeah, we don't know like the production history or what went down, but it definitely could have. But yeah, it's like it's just interesting that like yeah, it just kind of ended. They just started like wailing on what was her name? Like the witch.
it starts with an
yeah, I
S.
don't.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
just okay. Well,
Sabrina. She was like a teenager.
yeah, or I guess like the main baddie whose name escapes me, but yeah, they just start like fucking like just going to town on her. They pull like a Hulk. They copy the Hulk from Avengers, just fucking like slamming her down on the floor.
Yeah, like it's just straight up that scene from the first Avengers,
Yeah,
which is whatever. It's
but it's
funny.
fine.
It's
Yeah,
funny. I don't know. It still works. Yeah,
Yeah,
I just had that thought, I guess.
that's yeah. I guess I'm curious to hear since you don't have any connection to, or like you haven't played a bunch of D&D. So like when they say like the names of cities and shit, like that's not gonna like mean much to you at all. But like you said, you found it very accessible as a blockbuster to come in and just watch raw dog in it, as it were.
Yeah, I
yeah,
really did. And it's really refreshing because like if you
yeah,
if anyone's listened to the podcast, they know my big problem is like I don't care how good your movie is. If you're like, you're getting the real story next time, I'm like, I'm fucking out.
Yeah,
Like, I'm never gonna watch this again. And this one, I got a whole story, beginning, a
well,
middle, and an end.
yeah, I was gonna say too, like compared to, and I hate to like trash talk like Marvel or something, which not like compared to like like a Marvel movie where they're like referencing like stuff, or there's like end credits, like stuff where they're just like in this movie where they're just like mentioning like towns or stuff from like the books or like other campaigns. It's like it's not like the movie stops and you have to like look something up or whatever. It's just like, oh, okay, it's just hinting at a larger world. Whereas like I just think of, and I love that movie, Multiverse of Madness for Doctor Strange, but the end credits scene where it's like Clea just comes out and just like appears, doesn't say who she is, and then it's just like just ends. You're like, what I mean, it is an end credit scene, but there was like a really funny tweet that I saw, our friend Kirk showed me, where it's like some of the end credit scenes are like it's like, trying to remember the tweet. It's like, oh, they're like, here's Borko, and it's like, who's Borko? And it's like, you don't know who Borko is, and it's like, that's a long running character. But it's like every end, all the Marvel like references and stuff, I feel like every scene's like Borko. Borko appears, and I'm like a comic fan, but I'm like, how does the general audience think about like who Hercules is, or like Clea, so I appreciate Dungeons and Dragons being like Bennett, like really approachable for the casual fan or the general audience.
Yeah. And in terms of like the names of people, places, spells, whatever, Michael, like it really this is not tonally similar to Lord of the Rings, but like I kind of have the same vibe where it's like, Gandalf's on the bridge fighting the Balrog, and it's like they're throwing out concepts at me in that movie that like to date I still don't know, because I'm not a Tolkien nerd. Like I haven't done a deep dive in anything. But he's like, oh, like Flame of Isildur. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that is, but like I get them in the moment. This is important, and they know what it is, so I'm like, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
It's not just like a bunch of random shit for nerds to point at. And I think Dungeons and Dragons kind of has like this sort of like ironic snark for some of its characters, right? And so like that can kind of be off-putting, and it's like maybe none of this is serious enough at times, but it also makes it like a character flaw for characters like Chris Pine or
Michelle Rodriguez.
Well, she doesn't have the snark. She's just grumpy all the time.
Yes. I love her character is great. I loved her.
I liked her too. Justice Smith though is the other one I was thinking of.
Yeah, he was good.
The down on his luck wizard who has no self-confidence. It's like, okay, you've attributed those traits to specific characters and they never overlap. And it's like, I understand this should be basic writing 101, but the fact that it's like so rare in a big movie like this is like really refreshing still.
Yeah, he was good. He's good in Detective Pikachu. I want to see him in more stuff.
He's good in everything. It's not his fault that movie was bad, but
with Detective Pikachu?
Yeah. That's a boring movie. I'm sorry. I love Pokemon. I should not have fallen asleep during that.
There's not like any battling. There's like one kind of Pokemon battle, and then I was like,
well, it's a detective.
The whole
movie.
Game is battling shit. Like you're telling me a detective can't do some battling?
Yeah,
I've seen both Sherlock Holmes and Sherlock Holmes Game of Shadows.
Yeah,
it does hella battling.
You guys are just mad it didn't have the Danny DeVito voice for Pikachu.
I want Pikachu
I am mad at that too.
Moriarty at the top of a waterfall.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
Yeah, like Guy Ritchie's Detective Pikachu would have gone so hard.
Don't even.
Yeah, I know.
It hurts. It hurts too much that's not what we got.
Tragic.
In terms of the accessibility and like all the specifics, all the Easter egg shit, like we were talking about, I think that was actually something when we came out, because I went with like all my D&D friends, like the whole party we're currently playing with. We all went together as like a fun, like, oh, we'll go watch this. And coming out, you said this is full spoilers, right?
Yeah. Go wild.
Go ham.
So coming out, and Gene, since you've played, you'll probably understand these frustrations. Like one of the things I came out, I was like, well, how the hell did the Bard, one of the most powerful spellcasting classes, like, why is his only like he's got a melee loot attack, and that's like his only like I was like,
Yeah.
bards are like one of the most powerful spellcasters in D&D, and why is the
Yeah.
druid only wild shaping? Why isn't she casting spells too? And Skylar was actually like, well, it's probably to like help it be a little more accessible for audiences because
Mhm.
if everybody's shooting off magic, then that takes away from what makes the sorcerer like a unique character.
Yeah.
So she was like, I think it's to like help the general audiences. It's like, yes, we know that bards should be able to cast spells, but he's more of like he's just like the charismatic front man, and like for the purpose of the movie, that helps him differentiate from the sorcerer and from the
Mhm.
druid. Like her thing
Yeah.
is that she can become animals, and like will save magic just for Justice Smith and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
I thought that was like a really solid explanation, and what that like easily solved my qualms with that, because just like anything else, it's like when I watch the Lord of the Rings movies, I don't sit there and go, well, in the book, Treebeard actually had such and such, because I'm like, it's an adaptation and it makes it accessible for the
Yeah.
cinematic world, and we all accept that that happens when it goes from a book to a movie, or from
Yeah.
from a comic to a movie. So
Exactly.
why shouldn't we give something like a tabletop game the
Yeah.
same sort of grace?
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. That was a good, analogy with Lotor as well. Unless you're the Tolkien estate, which would vehemently disagree with you. They did
I
not
think
like
they
this.
vehemently disagree with a lot of stuff, including the Rings of Power. I don't know if you guys did a Rings of Power episode, but be
I
glad
still
I
haven't
wasn't on
finished
that
it.
one.
Yeah, I still haven't
Well,
finished it.
there's a reason for that.
Oh.
God, yeah.
I'll watch it eventually, probably.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not even the fact that I'm like a Peter Jackson Tolkien purist. I'm just it's a lot of shows. I'm still making my way
Yeah.
through The Last of Us. I got something coming out for that. But
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Gene did
damn.
an episode
Yeah,
on
that's a
that
great
though.
show.
Yeah, I love that show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Great show.
a lot of people do. A lot of people do. Go watch Gene's episode if you want
Oh,
positive thoughts.
sure. Yeah.
Hang
Oh
back
man,
if
Diego's
you
coming in with the blazing
guess
hot
so.
takes soon.
episode 3 is very good.
Yeah. That's all
And
Diego will have to say.
everyone's right that it's a tearjerker and very sweet. Moving on. I don't know what favorite parts of the Dungeons and Dragons movie. Let's just get right into that then. You can start winding down this subject.
Hmm.
I'll tell you right now.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys think for a second. I've never, at least this year, I've not laughed harder in a theater than when Chris Pine started glitching out.
Oh, yeah.
It was just
Yeah,
so
great.
unexpected. I was like, what the fuck am I watching?
Mhm.
That is also the hardest I've laughed. That was incredibly funny.
Yeah.
Same with when they're uh, bringing up the skeletons and stuff in the coffins,
Oh, yeah.
and
that
waste
was
all the questions, and it just becomes like the montage of them like
feeling-
trying to figure out what happened to the fucking helmet. And I thought that felt very true to the game, because it's like you give a very specific quest to the players, and then they manage to fuck it up, and then they're like, all right, well, I'll just fucking cast it again, and you're like, okay, yes, technically you can do that.
Yeah.
You really think you got them, and you're like, and your 5 questions are up. You're like, I cast the same spell again, and you're like, all right, yep, okay.
Yeah, the bit with I guess like the Bradley Cooper cameo as like I forgot what kind of like he was just the small guy. I don't know if that's like he's like a race in the the game, but like it's the fact like they keep it's like it's weird, it's funny, but then it's like weirdly sincere, I guess, for Michelle Rodriguez's character. Yeah.
No, you know what's fucked up? He's really good in that one scene. There's the entire history of the character relies on his performance.
Yeah.
And he's selling the shit out of it. Like, that was amazing. I was so caught off guard. Like, where did that come from?
The misdirect worked really well too. You're like, you're gonna go see her abusive ex-husband or something like that, and then he gets in and he's like making dinner. Like it's just like a little like halfling or gnome or something.
And then he's already with like another giant person. Yeah.
The heart wants what the heart wants.
Yeah, I guess so.
I also liked everything with Hugh Grant. I thought he absolutely like killed it as the
the
diabolical baddie.
Yeah, maybe need more Hugh Grant. Maybe less interviews with Hugh Grant because it's like all the
No,
interviews he was
no.
doing.
I love him. I love him. You know
Do you see?
why? He's fucking old, he's British, and he's tired.
Yeah,
And look, whatever, fuck the British, but like those people don't put up with like the American like
yeah.
media stuff where it's like
Mhm.
there's rightful criticism of like film journalism really devolving a lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it into just a branch of marketing. And he's just like, I don't want to fucking do this. And so he will make it clear that he doesn't want to fucking do this.
Yeah,
I got to give it up to him. I'm sorry. I have to
yeah.
respect that. As long as he's
Okay.
not being like a douche to the people specifically, if he's just like
Yeah,
making airs about it,
I
we're
think
cool,
yeah,
you
I think
know?
it was fine. Yeah, just like the fact that he just like yeah, it's like the stuff he was saying was just like funny.
Well, I'm going to defend him even more because he made a Vanity Fair reference to a movie he was in, and the interviewee on that red carpet assumed he was talking about Vanity Fair,
Yeah,
the production, the corporation, and
yeah.
it was like it was
Well,
brutal. It was
yeah.
brutal to watch.
What was the thing where he said in an interview? He's like, I wish we were less like bit less like not like strict, but he was like saying, movie sets are different now. It's so corporate. We used to have like romances and adventures on our sets, and it's just like, okay, Grandpa.
No, he said everyone's too sober or
He's-
something, and I was like, that's a little much.
yeah,
I'm gonna take the defense pedal off that one. But
yeah. But it was just like it's such a like a weird, like not weird, but like such a, like a grandpa moment. It's like okay, he's like back in my day or something. It was just so yeah, it was just random. I don't know.
I haven't seen any of his interviews, so I really don't know what you're talking about. But I can. It's maybe funnier in my imagination.
Yeah,
Hugh Grant coming in full boomer energy.
yeah,
No, he is a great actor though, and I
yeah.
do
He's
like
been
that he's clearly like he
having fun.
realizes that he's peaked with Paddington too. Like I'm
Hmm.
not even saying that as a joke. He's amazing in that movie, and
Yeah,
he's like, I should just play a little shitbag and everything now.
yeah.
I'm gonna be a little weasel and everything now, and
He's
he
good.
he kills it. Yeah.
He's good in Love Actually.
Yeah, he's great. He well, remember he was a romantic lead for a while.
Yeah.
Like he was one of the guys, and then he was
Oh no.
like, "No, I'm gonna be a sneaky little guy."
Yeah. All your moms in the 2000s loved him.
Yeah. Yeah, he was great. I'll just mention one last thing. This is kind of a general note on the movie too. Is like I kind of liked how like rickety it all felt.
Oh
Like
yeah.
at times I felt like the wheel was gonna come off like the narrative and like it was
Hmm.
gonna devolve into like a mess.
Yeah.
Uh and I mean that like in a positive way where it's like it's so clearly like a bunch of people just came together and like you could feel like the joy people had making this movie. It'd be a bummer if you found out like actually Diego, this set was a nightmare and everyone hates each other. But like to me it felt like everyone had a lot of fun making it, and I felt it through the screen. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I like movies that aren't completely clean and pristine all the time. Like maybe John Wick 4 is
Hmm.
maybe an example I'll use of a movie that's perfectly clean and pristine. And that's something people should also strive for. But this is the
Hmm.
other end of that where it's like, let's just try to make the best version of this little weird idea that maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. And I think it worked wonderfully. I really want to watch it again. It's been a very good year for movies that I thought I was gonna hate, and then I ended up really loving. I didn't think I was gonna hate this one, but I was like, I don't know, tugging up my collar,
Yeah.
and it was a blast. Yeah, I'm excited. Go watch it, everyone.
That's
Take
good.
your mom for Hugh Grant.
For Hugh Grant. Yeah.
Do it for Hugh.
Yeah, do it for
Yeah.
you. What else you should do for your mothers is to go take them to see John Wick 4, because who doesn't love Keanu Reeves?
Yeah.
I don't know if moms like Keanu Reeves. My mom probably does.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Screw.
who doesn't like him?
Yeah. Screw what Zachary Levi said. It is a family movie. John Wick 4.
No, there's a I
Oh
won't
no,
say
sorry.
that, but I will say, not to dunk on the guy. Maybe he deserves to be dunked on. I'm not calling shots here,
Mm.
but he made a mention that like John Wick 4 is not a date movie. It absolutely is a date
Yeah.
movie. These movies are sexy as hell.
Hmm.
Sorry, I like
I
the
think
first Shazam. I haven't seen the second one. That's not a date movie. That
no.
ain't sexy as hell.
Yeah. I was gonna say John Wick is kind of romantic. It's a man that's what like he loves his wife so much. Yeah. Wife died.
It, that that I assume that the actress who plays his wife in those brief flashback cameos is still cashing the checks. That's got to be
Yeah.
like the easiest role of all time. She's like,
Yeah.
okay, you just do some gold filters, and I kind of like laugh and sway and do a little laugh. Check.
hmm
Good.
Yep.
Nailed it. John Wick's
Bridget
love interest.
Bridget
Yeah.
Monahan.
Yep.
Bridget Monahan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for her. Yeah. Get
Yeah.
get,
Yeah.
get
Take the
those.
bag. Get the bag.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bag.
She deserves it.
hmm
You know. I think there's a
She
community
inspired
joke.
4 movies of incredible violence.
Yes. Is this the most incredible violence of the last decade?
Yeah.
Like at least in Hollywood.
In terms of like body count in a single movie, probably. I don't think this is like the most gruesome one by far.
Yeah.
In
I
fact,
mean,
I think some of the other John Wick movies have like more brutal kills, honestly.
hmm
I just think of the pencil in John Wick too. Like when he
Oh
finally
yeah.
pulls that pencil out, like everyone in the theater knows about like what's about to happen, and everyone rightfully loses their goddamn mind. Before we talk about the full thoughts on John Wick 4, we're just going to go into full spoilers when we do. Michael, what's your history with the John Wick films? Did you revisit any in the lead up? Did you visit them for the first time in the lead up to John Wick 4?
I actually love the John Wick movies. I rewatched 3 before going into 4, just because
Nice.
I'd only seen 3 in theaters, and I remembered it being my least favorite going like. And then I rewatched it before going into this one, and I was like, damn, actually, John Wick 3 is really good.
Yeah.
I honestly appreciated it a lot better on a rewatch than when I first watched it in theaters. But I remember like when the very first John Wick came out, I had actually bought the DVD. I'd like pre-ordered the DVD as a gag gift for my buddy Aaron because I'd seen the trailer for it and thought it was going to be really stupid because the trailer was just like him being like, "Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back," which now is an iconic line. But when I first
Yeah.
saw it in a trailer, I was like, "Oh my God, Keanu, this looks like dog shit." This is also shortly after what's that? The samurai movie he made that was really
Oh,
47
bad.
47
Ronin?
Ronin. Yeah.
Yes,
Oh God, that's
it was
Yeah.
shortly after 47 Ronin, so I was like, oh, Keanu is just really it's really all unraveling. And then we watched the pre-ordered DVD when it came in. We all like we got everybody together to kind of like do like a hate watch, and then we were like, holy shit, this is awesome. This is an
Mhm.
incredible movie. So we all left that evening as big new John Wick fans, and then I've just been following it ever since then.
Yeah.
But yeah, three on the rewatch before going into 4. I was like, damn, Parabellum, very good.
hmm Yeah, I've come around to that one as well because I think I wouldn't say I disliked it when it came out, but I felt like there was some criticism I had of it. But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot better.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very much on the everyone's wrong about chapter 3. That one's great. I don't think it's the best one, but like I do remember a lot of criticism about that one because they're like nothing changes the whole movie. And I've had this conversation with Gene. Like I think that's the point of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, which doesn't mean it's more interesting. It's just like, you know, if you could meet the movie on its own terms, you still don't have to like it, which is perfectly fine. But it's like he can't break from the cycle, which is why John Wick 4 opens up with him killing the elder, the guy you took half a movie to see last time, where he's like, nah,
Yeah.
fuck this, we're just gonna burn this shit down, right?
Yeah.
So
Even
like if
they-
you're not on board with that thesis for the third film, I get that being like a problem, you
Yeah.
know. But that one also might have like the sickest shit I've ever seen in a movie, like when he's fighting people on a horse and they're on motorcycles. Like I've never
was
seen
cool.
that before. And then well, they take this from a movie called The Villainous, which is very good. John Wick 3 does it better because it's John Wick. But the motorcycle fight with the katanas and stuff, like it's the sickest shit. It's the best. I did watch all of them in the lead up to 4 again. I love this franchise. I think it is far and away the best ongoing action franchise, and I love many of them that are ongoing. But like this is the one that's most fulfilling to me by like a significant margin. I heard John Wick 4 is supposed to be like this epic masterpiece, this high mark of the action genre. So I was like, I'm gonna keep my expectations in check. I'm gonna do my best, and I didn't, but it didn't matter because I love John Wick Chapter 4 so much with all my heart. I'm gonna fight everyone who's like, it's not as good. and now I'm gonna burn everyone to the ground. I'm gonna go on my John Wick revenge,
Oh my
fighting the
God.
haters and the critics, because it's the greatest movie I've ever seen in my entire life. That's probably not true, but I'm riding a high. I saw it twice in one weekend. I don't even know how to get into the rest of it. What were your guys' thoughts on John Wick 4?
Oh, I loved it. I was just like really like I think I went in like it was right before I went to a WonderCon the Thursday before, and it was like I think I was hanging out with someone, and I'm like, oh, the only time I could see this is at 11:30, but I have to like wake up tomorrow and do something. I'm like, all right, doing it for John Wick, so I saw it in IMAX, and it was just like, oh, it was just incredible. I'm like, just like I think the scene where they don't reference it like just as a homage, like one little quick reference, but like the scene, the whole sequence where they just reference the Warriors and it just becomes the Warriors for a scene, like a whole montage. I'm like, yes, they start playing the song Nowhere to Run. They copy like the DJ from the film, and then they have like all the assassins going after John so he can't get to the steps. I'm like, oh, this that was like I'm like, this is incredible.
Well, not to suck this movie's dick even harder, but you just mentioned like, that's oh yeah, that one scene.
Hmm.
That's like the last that's like 45, 30 to 45 minutes of the last hour of the movie, and it
Yeah.
does not feel like it.
No,
Like
it
the fact
doesn't.
that you're like, yeah, that one part, it's like, no, it's a lot, but
Hmm.
it feels like it's just one part.
Yeah, there's like
No.
just so many sequences in that movie where I'm like, this is like a movie in itself. It's like a masterpiece. Like it becomes a video game. Like they do that overhead Grand Theft Auto sequence, which I think someone you or someone was telling me it wasn't even shot with like a crane. It was like this weird rig mechanism that they had.
Yeah, it was like some
Oh.
string mechanism. Chad Stahelski talked about it. If you're curious, just look up Chad Stahelski overhead shot. you're
Hmm.
gonna you're gonna get articles on it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
where it's just like the opening shot of the movie just like homages Lawrence of Arabia. Like what
hey,
the hell? I'm like,
well,
oh,
because
that's
that's what these movies are. I think that's why they're
yeah.
they're a cut above. It's like
Hmm.
it's not just like let's look as cool as possible. Like it kind of is that,
Yeah.
but it's also like
There's a
these
point to
are
it, yeah.
these are clearly people that are like students of like all cinema.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean, the second movie ends with like the sequence straight out of Lady from Shanghai. You know what I mean? Like these are like true students of like
Yeah.
all movies. So of course there's a Lawrence of Arabia bit in
Yeah.
the opening.
That was good. And yeah, I just loved it. I think Keanu was great. Just the fact that the movie is like basically the good, the bad, and the ugly, both John Wick, Donnie Yen, and then darn, I'm forgetting his name. The actor escapes me. Who is good as Mr. Nobody.
Yeah, I'm
He was
gonna pull it up,
incredible.
but keep going because I want to shout
Yeah.
him out too.
And it was just like every action scene was just like a masterpiece, and yeah, I just loved it. Also too like Donnie Yen on another level, just incredible as a blind assassin. You know, just love like all his little bits, or just the fact like he don't like what is it when he's in Japan, he's just like eating the noodles. He didn't want to do his job, and they're just like, "Hey, are you gonna like kill someone?" It's like, all right, yeah, it was good, and I hope if this is the finale, I hope it stays that way. Maybe we'll get into that later, but yeah, I'm like this is like the
Yeah, well,
best
we'll hold
way.
on to that conversation for the end.
Yeah.
Shamir Anderson is the name of Mr.
Oh,
Nobody in
okay.
this movie. Yeah,
He
that
was.
dude, he stands along the shoulders of legends in this movie, and he holds his
Yeah.
own. That is talent, you know.
Mhm.
But
I
Michael,
mean,
as the
for me,
guest,
that was he was the highlight of the movie. I thought his character was like the most fun and the most interesting addition to the cast. Although also the guy running the Osaka Continental,
Oh yeah.
or was it Osaka?
yeah, yeah,
The
It's
it's
just
Osaka.
Osaka.
Japanese, the Japanese Continental was
Mhm.
fucking sick, and that main character too. He was a really compelling character, because I think when these movies really shine is when you get these little hints. It's like the hints of the wider world. Obviously, you get to see the wider world as like the franchise has gone on. You see more and more of this very like established assassin world and like all the stuff going on there. But like the hints of John Wick's backstory, when you see these characters who have an established history that we never have to see, to know that like this dude is willing to die because he's so convinced that honoring his friendship with John Wick is more important than, his own life is like,
Yeah.
it's like, damn, I don't know what their past is, but I don't have to know. Similar to what you were saying about fantasy earlier. It's like they throw out some buzzwords and you're like, I get that there's a history here, and I get that like this world is impactful beyond what I will ever know just watching it, and that gives it its own weight and depth. So I guess John Wick's a bit of a fantasy movie too in that regard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very much like an attempt at making modern myth. I feel like everyone's trying to find what is that for this era of like culture and stuff like that. And I think John Wick is maybe the cleanest way of tapping through to it, because like there's characters named like Ares and shit. Like it's very clear like they're pulling from like
Or
Greek
Cain.
pantheons and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And yeah, like it's not subtle, it's not trying to be. It's just like
Let it be.
and it's a world alongside our own. It's not our world, but like we have all these sequences and other. Well, even in this one, like in the Arc de Triomphe sequence, right? And the cars are going around, they're not stopping.
Oh, that
It's
was
just
incredible.
like, yeah, I mean, it's just a fucking it was so cool. Like realistically, if this was like a Die Hard or something, like one of the early Die Hard movies, like traffic stops, the shootout happens, the cars all stop, and then they work their way around parked cars. They just keep going here. It doesn't matter. The rest of the world revolves like beyond it, through it. Like it doesn't matter in a way. But there's also like these weird subcultures. There's all these like this cultist mentality to all these like assassin organizations, and they're sort of like they're running their own kingdoms and stuff. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's so good. It's so wonderfully designed from top to bottom. That's a big credit to director Chad Stahelski,
Mm-hmm.
who basically built this franchise from the ground up alongside the original writer Derek Kolstad, who didn't write this movie.
Yeah.
So if some people note that it feels a little different, it's probably because of that.
Yeah. I was reading.
Yeah.
Oh, I was reading some of the troubles Chad had making that first movie. Like he paid for some of the stuff personally. They were having trouble with like financing, and that's it almost got distributed on VOD. I'm like, that's crazy. That it had such a hard time being made, and now look at it.
Yeah,
Probably
and
because
now,
of that trailer I saw where he just said, "I'm thinking I'm back," and everybody's like, "Nah, I'm not
Yeah,
saying
Michael.
it."
yeah, and
They
each
needed some
movie,
Zeppelin in there.
yeah, maybe that's
Maybe.
it. Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
The evolution of the franchise is like genuinely absurd. Like it is the definitive action franchise right now. Like everyone wants to do John Wick, right? Like I think this isn't like a secret or something like that. I think the movie Nobody,
Oh yeah.
Bob Odenkirk was like, I want my John Wick.
I want
You know?
dad 40-year-old John Wick.
Yeah, he's like, I want that, and that's like not a bad angle to have. It's just like it just goes to show the power of this franchise. It's like, who doesn't want this,
Yeah.
But maybe people should also reconsider that like Keanu's got like a legacy. This isn't just like a normal actor. Like everything had to kind of come together, from like the creative team to the lead actor to the writer to the directors, because there were two in the first one. Remember, Chad Stahelski and David Leitch. David Leitch has gone on to have his own successful career.
Yeah. Bullet Train, good.
No, but he's successful.
No, I like
Chad
Bullet Train.
Stahelski is a cut above, though. I
Okay.
think Chad Stahelski, like even watching this movie, he's a dude I kind of want to see do everything now.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, who do you
I
want for
want-
the next
I
Star
wanted-
Wars? Chad
I want him.
Stahelski.
Well, I want his Ghosts of Tsushima movie. Like that video game's great. I need that.
I mean,
Dude,
Clearly, like some samurai shit. That I
Yeah,
feel like he would
just
eat that
any-
shit up.
Any samurai. Diego's not on it, but
I haven't played the game. I didn't. I wasn't
Ye-
super interested in it. I've heard it's great, but I remember when it was coming out, I was like, yeah, it looks pretty. I'm not really.
it's a good
interested.
game. Michael's played it.
I actually haven't,
Oh,
but
Michael knows
Greg,
people that played
Greg played it. Yeah, Greg played it, and I watched. And I saw some stealthy, badass samurai takedowns, like longbows and shit. I was like,
it. Yeah.
this looks hard, and so I'm not gonna play it, but I will enjoy watching somebody else play it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have like big thoughts about this movie? Stuff we want to hype up or criticize? I was making a long-winded rant about how I want to destroy all enemies of this movie. That's not true. At least for most of you out there. We'll see.
Then you must destroy me.
Yeah, I know. I didn't
because
want to destroy you too hard, but
yeah, well, so yeah, this is my blazing hot take. Once Olive stops
Oh,
squeaking over here.
no,
I think
it's
Oliver
fine.
Oliver's disagreeing with you.
No, Olive's actually cheering me on. He
Oh.
agrees. He agrees with me. He was barking at Diego for his threats against my life. That's a good
No,
love
he
right
he
there.
he loves me. He always runs up to me when I see you guys.
Yeah.
That's true.
He loves grizzly bear documentaries too.
That he does.
Yeah.
But first off, I definitely enjoyed this, and it was a lot of fun to go see it in the theaters. And you know, there's a very real possibility because I left Parabellum being like, this is the weakest one yet.
Mhm.
And part of it is, at least for me, Parabellum felt really long in the theater. Like they get to the
Yep.
desert, and it's just like I feel like the pacing just takes a huge slump. It's like all this stuff. And honestly, for me, this one had almost the opposite problem where it was so like I felt like some of the action scenes really dragged for me, which is like basically the opposite of what you were saying about the staircase scene and all that stuff. It's like for those, I just felt like they were exhaustively violent or like high paced to the point where it lost its impact for me because it was just so all the time that it didn't have the same sort of like ebb and flow that some of the other movies had. I guess for
Mhm.
context, number two is my favorite because I think two is just a masterpiece.
Yes,
But I
yes.
thought this one like kind of like I don't know. I felt like this one maybe did the least for me in terms of like expanding the world. Um, and certainly it did the least for me in terms of John Wick's characterization. And I'm sure you guys have seen all the articles where it's like, oh yeah, he only spoke like this many words in the entire
Yeah.
movie, and he like cut out half his dialogue in the movie, and everybody's praising him for that and saying like, wow, he what a bold choice. And I'm like, bold and correct are not the same thing. It
Yeah.
was a bold choice, and sure, he says a lot of yas, and like that's a fun article to read and be like, wow, 300 words, whatever. But I don't think that that necessarily made the movie better because I think
Yeah.
one of the cool things about the other movies is you are seeing this like he's a terse assassin, he's got this troubled backstory, he's the Baba Yaga, all this shit. But it's like he's also a person, and I feel like in this one he became, and maybe that's the point. Maybe the point is in this one he is like he's further dehumanizing and just become an agent of death, and is like he will wipe out everything in his quest for peace. There's some good dialogue about that in the movie. Like how many people is he going to kill to get his peace?
He's like all of them.
Yeah, he's like I will kill France. France will not
Yeah.
have any men left by the time I'm done here.
Mhm.
But I feel like in this one the supporting characters were really what held the movie up. Mr. Nobody. Oh fuck, who's the guy running the Continental?
Oh,
The actor's name is Hiroyuki Sanada. He is like another martial arts legend. Like this movie's
Mhm.
stacked with
or
like
did
living
you mean
legends.
Ian McShane's character?
I meant Ian McShane.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay,
thought
okay.
he
Winston.
continued to be a very
Winston.
Winston. That's it.
Yeah.
Obviously, Sharon being killed untimely at the very
Yeah.
beginning was a tragic because him and Winston have always been like a huge part of the John Wick franchise. For like what I
Mhm.
love about it is like their relationship with John Wick, their relationship outside of John Wick, like all that stuff. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. R.I.P. Lance Reddick too. Great actor.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
very sad, very
yeah.
untimely.
Yeah.
And then what after his passing, then like all these wonderful stories start coming out
Mhm.
about him, about what a great guy he was to work with. And like I remember the Resident Evil show he did, which I didn't have maybe
Yeah.
positive things to say about. When it was canceled, he went on Twitter by himself and just shouted out the production team, the people that got the show in his words, and like he just top to bottom was like praising everyone he worked with. And that was a show that did not make a big impact, but
Yeah.
he took the time to credit everyone and very like production levels of that show, and I was like, that's a class act right there. That's
Yeah, I
a
get.
genuine tragedy. He's no longer with us.
Yeah, I know he's getting everything. I was he came to a lot of content, I guess, for the when it was in G4. Yeah, he came into the office and he was like, I never talked to him personally, but the way he was around people, you could just tell he was like incredibly nice. So say that about Lance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
kind
a
soul.
it's a real shame, and like obviously like they didn't plan for the fictional character death to
Yeah,
like
it's
to make it easier for the
unfortunate.
rest of the film with his passing or something like that. But for the film, once his character was killed in the Blade Runner-esque like
Building.
office area,
Yeah.
which the design in this movie is wow,
Oh yeah.
top to bottom. But once he got killed, I was like, oh shit, are they gonna do it? Are they gonna like end the series here? And I do think that's the intention. I don't think they intend to do another one. I'll pull up an article as you guys continue to talk, but I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure Chad Stahelski and Keanu Reeves want this to be the last one because
Yeah.
so your Ghost of Tsushima thing, Gene, like regardless of whether or not I want that movie, I want Chad Stahelski to do whatever.
Do
And
something else.
he
Yeah.
seems to be having a problem making other things. And I
Um,
do buy into the reading of these films that, everyone's telling John Wick, he's only John Wick. He can only be John Wick. I think that's Chad Stahelski telling
yeah.
people, let me out.
It's
They
like I
people
want to
only
do
want me to
it.
make John Wick movies. Let me out.
Yeah. Also, too, yeah, let the character rest because it's like, I guess, like, kind of going towards the ending. Like, I thought that was like a really like good ending for John. Like, he got his freedom. Just also too, like the duo between him and Kane. Like, it just becomes like this like Barry Lyndon, like with like pistol like 20th or like, yeah, like 19th century pistols. Then it's like this like good, the bad, and the ugly like standoff from like a western, and he gets his revenge, but he also tragically gets wounded beyond like anyone could like help him out, and like he just dies on the steps, but he's like finally free, and he takes off like his guns and like everything that like made him a killer, and he's just thinking about his wife before he passes. I'm like, there's something poetic about that, I think, and a good way to end the character too. He finally like found some sort of peace, I think, right?
I
Yeah.
think so.
Uh, it does. It raises some questions. Like if all he wanted to do was to die to be at peace, like I feel like there's other ways he could have done that without just murdering
Yeah,
friends. But
yeah,
I don't know. That's it depends on like I guess if we don't see the repercussions of what this does to the wizarding world of assassins, if you will,
yeah,
like not being able to see what the repercussions are does, like, I guess we won't really know what John Wick's impact was, or whether anything in this system changes, whether he's only bought freedom for him, like for himself, or whether future assassins who would like to like lay down, like say Kane or somebody who wants to like be able to like put this life behind them just like John Wick did. It's like, do you think that the top brass, whoever's left of the top brass, is going to be like, hey,
yeah,
maybe when they want to retire, we should just like let them retire from now on,
yeah.
because otherwise they're going to go on a murderous 4 movie rampage and destroy everything in their
Yeah,
path.
yeah. I don't know. I thought that was cool too. Well, again, like maybe we won't see it until like a future sequel, but like basically it's John's rebellion against the High Table. Like I guess like his like war against the hierarchy of like that whole system, tears it down. You know, thought that was like, I don't know, they're saying something with that, I guess.
Hmm.
Well, I think the direction this franchise took is just like not just showing like how hard it is to like leave this life behind. I think even without this weird structure, these institutions hanging over John, like the preamble to this in the first movie, right? Like after they kill his dog, like the joke is like he does all these movies because he kills people who killed his dog. But it's like you have to go back to the question of the first movie, like, is he doing it because they killed his dog? Is he doing it because he had an attachment to the dog because it's the last thing his wife gave him? Or is it an excuse for him to find a comfort zone in the killing again? The very thing he left behind is what he knows. He doesn't know
Yeah,
how to have a normal life without his wife, right? So you
Hmm.
have that like in the setup there. So jump to the end of this where, again, this is all spoiler discussion. Go watch John Wick 4,
yeah,
because you should. But John Wick dies. He's shot and dies. If you like kind of hang these metaphors over this modern mythos, like I was calling it, I was having this conversation with Gene too. Like, is it John dying? Like, is it just straight up like what we see, like the character dead? Or is it like, more metaphorical, like the character of John Wick, the shell of the person he used to be before his wife, is that dead and now he can live as John? Because they clearly do want a sequel to this because it's making like absurd amounts of money. But there's also like, enough open-endedness where you could retroactively retrofit John like living and hiding or something like that, and truly leaving this life behind, because John Wick is dead, but John, the man who he was, or he could be, is now out there somewhere living a peaceful life for the rest of his days, never raising a gun again. And whether or not there's a sequel, that's what I want to read into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure there's other readings of it out there, or just straight up the director, Chad Stahelski, could tell me like, no, you fucking idiot. Like, he's just dead. And I'm like, all right, it's fine.
Yeah.
That's totally fine too.
Yeah. Well, he tells Vincent like, take my body back or something, right?
He says, can you take me home?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like,
I do like that read to it, but my counterpoint would be, why would John Wick, if John Wick the persona is who died, why would John Wick be the one to get loving husband on the tombstone?
Yeah.
Because to me, it would be like John was the loving husband. John Wick is this angel of death, the Baba Yaga, all that shit.
Yeah.
That's my only qualms with that theory. I think Lionsgate's going to squeeze John Wick 5 in there. Yes, especially because when I looked up somebody on IMDb, I saw them already credited for John Wick 5.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's true or not, but
maybe it's a prequel.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, they're already doing like a prequel, I guess, with the Continental. But I guess maybe like how he became the boogeyman.
Yeah, they're doing the Continental. They're doing Ballerina, which John Wick is in. So we don't know if that's a prequel. Or
no, that's they said it before. That movie is set. The Ballerina is set between 3 and 4.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what has been stated. So
okay, didn't see any of that, but that's good. Good to know.
Yeah. Ana de Armas.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
People.
She's gonna be great. She's gonna be great. And then Rina Sawayama, who just had her first role is in this movie.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
where did she come from? She's so good.
I don't know.
Yeah, she kills it. She's probably gonna get a spinoff because the post credits tease thing. I didn't need that,
Right.
But I'm not like against it, and I do want to see those characters again, know. I think of another really popular action movie, No Time to Die, the last Craig Bond, where everyone was like, oh, that character should have a spinoff. That character should have a spinoff. And the Bond producers were like, we're never doing spinoffs.
Yeah.
And part of me is like, that's good. But I'm also like, those characters are so cool. You could totally, just do these. But I respect that. So now we're getting that with these movies. It's like you have the cool characters you can spin off into other action movies.
Like who wants like an Odd Job spinoff or like a
No. Yeah, I don't want that.
Yeah.
No, literally just No Time to Die. Introduce the Ana de Armas character.
Yeah.
And the new 007. I was like, I kind of want to see those two team up.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
But I don't need that. It was just that's how much I was drawn to that movie and those characters. And this one, like the benefit, like Michael was saying too, is like a John Wick. The supporting characters are so interesting and they're so diverse, and it's like they don't have to just be variations of John Wick movies that we've seen before. Like you can do basically anything as long as you tap into like that modern mythology, the Western film influence. You called your shot with the Lawrence of Arabia homage already. Like, I need people to start diving deeper. I need some Andrei Tarkovsky references in Ballerina.
Geez.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I need some Stan Brakhage to appear in the Rina Sawayama spinoff. I want people to go deeper. I want stuff that's going to put off the main audience, and I'm just going to be cheering in the theater as I see some experimental action shit.
All the Lionsgate executives give you a big thumbs down for that one and say, no, we want our hundreds of millions of dollars of box office release.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're never going to let me near the theater even. It's like, no, you don't even get to see this after that comment. You just go home. You're done.
I saw something, I don't I don't know that this will happen, but what I think would be a huge victory is if Keanu's able to get Constantine 2 out of this. I
He
saw
is,
something
yeah, he
recently
is.
that oh, is that confirmed that
It's
he's got it?
he's I think it's confirmed. Yeah, it's
It's
they
it's confirmed, quote unquote, green light, but it's like there's nothing set yet. They're just like, yeah, we'll do it. You
yeah.
know,
To me,
that
that's
doesn't mean
enough
it's gonna happen.
to have hope, but
Hmm.
it does not give me confidence this will come out. But
Yeah.
even the fact that that franchise might get a second shot and there might be a Constantine 2 with Keanu is I'm all here for it because that
Yeah.
is that's like one of my favorite movies with him.
Yeah, it's a good movie, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
like I
also
like it.
okay. I'm glad we're all pro Constantine on this podcast. That's a very cool movie. You know,
Yeah.
Underrated for
Yeah.
sure.
it is. Yeah,
It's
I think it's
yeah.
my favorite Francis Lawrence movie. Even
Mm.
and I like him as a director, but I think
Yeah.
he started quite strong.
Hmm.
Um, all right, let's start wrapping it up. Favorite sequences, favorite kill, either or of
Yeah.
yeah. Go
I
ahead,
could
Gene.
I could go favorite kill because it's like it felt like a good character moment where um the dog's like about to be shot by that henchman and like instead of like shooting Mr. Nobody, he shoots the guy that's gonna kill the dog because it's like kind of brings it full circle
Mhm.
where it's like John Wick was like, don't mess with dogs. Yeah. So I thought that was cool and then too. Dogs are great. And then yeah, I think like favorite sequence it's I don't know. I think it's like when they're in the bridge, the roundabout, and it's like cut to that one song. I think it's called like Pain or Glory or something. And it's just like John's just like shooting people in the middle of like traffic, and it's just like edited to that music so well, and it's like so exciting, and all the elements are coming together. So I go with that one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think if I had a favorite kill. See that gets back to my complaint with this movie. Is like I could tell you my favorite kill in all the other John Wick movies, and I don't know about this one. Um, I'll just do favorite sequence. I liked all the stuff in Japan in the beginning. The
Yeah.
when when he tells all his crew like we have visitors coming, let's show them our hospitality, and then it just cuts to like them all like grabbing their katanas and shit off the walls. I was like, oh, some good old fashioned hospitality incoming. Like
Yeah.
this is gonna be sick. So
It's good.
that entire the ambush as like the reveal that there's all the archers up on the balcony, like that whole setup, and then Donnie Yen just going off was a fucking sick way to kick off the meat and potatoes of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my favorite kill, it's just a really quick flashback or flyby one with the overhead shot, and he's got the dragon breath shotgun. He shoots one guy, and then he's like still like screaming and shit. He's not dead, so he takes out the room and then goes back and takes out the guy that's still moving. And I was just like, this is so fucked up. Why is this so cool? Like, I have very strong opinions about guns in the real world, but in movies,
In movies, yeah,
they're
where
the
it's not
coolest thing
real.
ever, you know?
Yeah, where it's not real and it
Yeah.
can't like
And
affect people.
yeah, and I think that's also why I much prefer the John Wick movies when they moved into this fantastical realm. Not that the first movie I have any negative feelings about. I obviously love it. Um, but it's like just enough to be like it's reality, but also not. Job by John Wick 2, it's like not reality, which I love. It's like it's a completely fantastical realm where like violence is law, it's like this close to like anarchy if any of these wheels start falling off, which is kind of the vibe I got from the greater world in John Wick 4, where it's like this isn't really working out anymore. Like we don't see the full scale of that. It's always like the perspective's always on John Wick, but that's the vibe I got of the world in this one. Maybe I'm reading too much into that, but
Yeah.
um I really like that stuff. I want to shout out also Scott Adkins for the direct to
Yeah.
video heads. Scott Adkins as Killa in a fat
Yeah.
suit. I and many others have mixed feelings about the usage of fat suits in movies. Um, I think here I will defend it, if only because I think it's also an important character thing to show like this is like a man who's like so clearly greedy and like not just physically gluttonous, but he's gonna try to like feast on everything around him. You know, he's playing with his food when he's doing the card game. Like he's gonna fuck all these people over, but he's making them play his game because he just likes having all the power, you know. And I also like that you think he's gonna be like a coward, and then no, he's like fucking clotheslining John
Yeah.
Wick, kicking him
Where
over
he grabs him and,
balconies.
like fucking clotheslines him.
Yeah,
That was
look
great.
up John Wick, Scott Adkins on Letterboxd. Click check out a Universal Soldier: Day of Reckoning, which is a very nihilistic movie, but he goes hard in. The Boyka trilogy from the Undisputed franchise. What else? What else? Fuck, there's so many. Scott Adkins is a great martial artist, even if some of the direct-to-video movies have kind of like a stink on them. He never gives less than a truly kick-ass action hero performance. I hope this opens a door to people who are interested in martial arts to check out his work, because really underappreciated guy. He's a guy who, like, if he was 10 years early in the industry, I think we'd recognize him alongside the likes of like Van Damme and stuff like that. You know, like I'm glad he's had his time to shine. It's been really cool to see him get interviewed in like Good Morning America and stuff, where it's like, I remember when I saw your early stuff and now you're here. Oh, Ninja 2. Also, Ninja 2, I think, was a big fan favorite of his. Go watch that one, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess any final thoughts on John Wick 4?
I'm looking forward to rewatching it at home, because I like I said, I left 3 from the theater being like, this was good, a little exhausting, felt long to me. And then when I rewatched it in prep for 4, I was like, damn, 3 was really, really great. So I hope that after a rewatch of 4 on my couch with my TV, you get a text from me, Diego, and it's me just saying, I was wrong about John Wick 4. This is every bit as awesome as you and Gene said it was, and I on further review also absolutely love it.
Cool.
I respect that. I hope that too. Also,
yeah, I would agree with Michael that, or I would add to that statement. I can't wait to like marathon all these movies, from like 1 to 4. That'd be a great experience. Like Lord of the Rings, both action.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Lord of the Rings has some fucking epic ass action, but I know what you mean. Like, these are straight action movies, especially 3 and 4, where it just like never stops.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, like at the very least, like even if people aren't into these movies, it's like, when have we seen action this like clean on this budget with this much talent? You know, like I truly do not understand anyone who says these are terrible movies. And I don't think I've seen many people, not anyone I know anyways, who's said like these are terrible. You know what I mean? Like what a gift these movies are. And at the very least, it's gonna make people have to step up their game. We've seen the quality bar now. Now this is gonna set it for the next decade at least.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, like you said, Gene, a marathon. Like imagine watching these for a whole day. Like I would be like dead.
It's like 10 hours.
My body would give
hours.
out. No,
yeah.
it would be like 13 hours, right? Because this last one's almost 3 hours.
3 hours.
Third one's like 2.5. Second one's a little over 2 hours. Like it's a lot of time. Yeah, I'll have to make a day of that, and just like my body will give out. But until that day comes, Michael, thank you so much for joining us. It's always great to talk to you. Can people find you online anywhere? Should we look forward to any stuff you're working on?
Gotta drop the Twitter handle.
Any stuff I'm working on? Probably not. That's all under NDA.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, find me on Twitter at NSA Propaganda, all caps, no spaces.
I really just wanted to hear you say that on here. I wasn't sure if you would, but I just love
100%. Yeah, the Twitter is public.
Yeah, I love your handle.
It's mostly just metal recommendations.
Yeah,
I'm a big metalhead. But I also sometimes retweet other people's funny stuff. So you know, you're really getting the full Twitter experience. Some good leftist politics. What can I say?
Hell yeah.
We only invite leftists onto this show, so thank you for that.
Excellent. Good. Yeah, that's my only real pitch. Hopefully, I've got some more film sort of projects or good screenplays coming soon. But until I've got some things more concretely wrapped up, that's all I got to pitch.
Yeah, well, you're a very talented writer and you're a very good friend. So thank you so much for joining us. Like, really,
thank you for having me. This was a blast.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk like this in real life again soon because I haven't seen you in a minute in person. But
Yeah.
That's
we're
true.
gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it happen.
And Diego, I dare say we can bring you into a D&D group at some point.
Oh,
If you
there you go.
if you truly want this, if you want to be a paladin, we can make it happen. You
Okay,
and Gene can both be paladins,
Oh,
and
thanks.
we'll have an imbalanced party, and I'll just make sure to throw some good traps that you cannot find with your heavy armor.
I'm gonna swap out from paladin. I'll become something else. I'll become something more. I'll become like John Wick,
Yeah.
but in Dungeons and Dragons. But
That won't
until
be
that
OP
day-
at all.
No, until
Yeah.
that day, Gene, plugs.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, G9892. And yeah, nothing really to promote. I guess just wish me a safe travel to Star Wars Celebration next week in London. So
We'll
Yeah,
absolutely do that. Hey,
Thanks.
safe travels, buddy.
thank you.
yeah, really safe travels. Oh, get me one of those badges.
If you
Or
want.
like a poster of like the badge. I'll send you more information. I'm
Yeah,
a big
yeah.
fan of I'm a big fan of the artist that did the badges for Star Wars Celebration this year. So I need a poster or something. I'll Venmo you. You can find me at the Diego Crespo. Check out the Waffle Press on Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, and Patreon. Where can you get early access to anything right now? You actually might. Yeah, I think a retrospective is going to be on there the time this goes up. And Ted Lasso's back, so I'm just gonna do a full series thing when that's over
Cool.
too. And
Sweet.
yeah, I look forward to my thoughts on The Last of Us. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. If you didn't like this, like and subscribe anyways, because you might find something you do like. All right, everyone, take care. We have been professionally unprofessional.